Good morning, Americans. This is your favorite alien on the morning of Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. Things are really crazy in 2024 here. The Detroit Tigers are in first place. Oh boy, that's hard to say, isn't it? Tigers in first place. Oh boy. Anyway, but today's commentary is serious. Humans, and especially Americans. And the title of today's commentary is War. You Americans have defined war and try to make war clean, as you say. War is messy. War is brutal. And war is destructive. Okay? That's one reason why you don't want war. Do you avoid war? No. You don't want war. And there's two reasons why you have war. Just two. One, the person that's attacking you wants to eliminate you from the face of the earth. Two, you want to survive. And that's the only two reasons you have war. Here, the Americans in the last 70 years have made war kind of like the episode in Star Trek with the two planets, Vindicar and the Miniar 7, where they've been fighting a war for 500 years. And as Captain Kirk said, you have made the war clean, which they did. Heck, they hit us, okay, they hit us there, okay. Who was in that? Oh, yeah, okay. You got till tomorrow to go to the disintegration center and kill yourself. And they did. They walked into the disintegration machines and 3 million a year. 3 million a year for 500 years. Why would you want to wage the real thing? And over here, you guys are doing something like that. Russia invaded Ukraine. Ukraine and Russia have a disagreement going back hundreds of years. And you guys haven't determined the Ukrainians have never been part of the world situation because they've always been part of Russia. And that part that Russia took off, the third, that is part of them. They controlled that ever, even when Ukraine was part of the Polish and later Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. Look at your history, people. The eastern side of Ukraine was Russian back then. And that's a few centuries ago. Okay? So you see there's argument there that you have to settle. Putin wants Ukraine, the whole Ukraine. Because that's what it was when it got annihilated by Vladimir Lenin. Another Vladimir 100 years ago. So in 1922, it became a socialist Soviet republic, Ukraine SSR. And then you're saying, yeah, but the Russians invaded the Crimea in 2014. When Joseph Stalin died in 1953, there was an upstart from Ukraine named Nikita Khrushchev, who slowly but surely took power. And by 1958 was premier of the Soviet Union. But he had power in late 53. He consolidated it in early 1954. And one of his shenanigans that he did was he transferred the Crimea from the Russian Federation to Ukraine SSR. That was not a good thing to do, because he said that was Ukraine, which had never had a claim to that, okay, until 1954 under Nikita Khrushchev. Yo, you hearing me, Americans? I hope so. So he annexed it as the Soviet premier in 1954. That's 70 years ago. So in 2014, 60 years later, Vladimir Putin's taken back what is actually his. Heck, there was a war fought over that thing in 1856. That there was a 3-year war. The Crimean War, remember? The charge of the Light Brigade! Cannons to the left, cannons to the right, and cannons in front of you. How many of you listened to that little poem when you were in school and you didn't understand it? Yes? And what were they fighting for? A lot of people, British, Russians, and others lost their life in that war in those 3 years that ended in 1856 with a stalemate. Yes. That was worse than Gallipoli. Oh, and that was a disaster. Talk to the British about that. So you see, Americans, war is messy. And when you intervene in a war, you have to make sure it's for the right cause. Is Ukraine the right cause? People are dying left and right, and you can't deny that. But it comes a time for society to understand. Let the people get perished, yes. And my civilization has done that. Most recently to you people. That's why I call you bygoners. Because in 2065, you're going to get annihilated right down to less than 300,000, which I am so ashamed I took you off the planet that when I get back home, after I pass away here, only will be 15 seconds for me in that timeline. But I've been here since 1970. That's 54 years I've been on your planet, and now I understand and comprehend you better. And I can understand the bosses, why they said, do not interfere in the human affairs, because they are not worth saving. And they were right. You guys aren't worth saving in 2065. Like I said, we had 37 ships on the other side of the moon, and the Mushka knew we were there. And we told them, no. You have green light to take what you want from that planet. We will not interfere. And a lot of people in my ships were mad that we didn't interfere because they're humanoids. They're brothers. I said, no, they're not. They're dangerous. They don't understand the way of the cosmos. And they would be dangerous to us in the long run. And I was spewing my superior's line. I didn't really think about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have taken the 300,000 and got myself in trouble if I would have gone home with those. Yeah. So when I go back, I'm going to turn my ship around, go back to Earth in February of 2066, and deposit your 300,000 people back on Earth, where they belong to die. And the reason is specific. If you guys would have shown any interest on that, why are you helping the Ukrainians? It's political. It's not humanitarian. Why do you have the war in Israel? It's political. It's not humanitarian. Are there any civilians? War has no civilians. Do you understand me? Better still, Do you comprehend me? No, because you don't have a iota of what the hell I'm talking about. War is messy. The people that are going to annihilate you almost annihilated us 900 years ago of your years. They came to our country our planet that we had just adopted a couple centuries earlier. And because my ancestors were as stupid as yours and blew up our ancestral home for stupid, petty reasons that you have here today. 14 billion of them died for their stupidity, and they took out their whole entire solar system with antimatter. You guys are dangerous enough with atomic power. Can you imagine if you had antimatter? Oh my God, would you guys be so dangerous? Look at what you got with nuclear weapons and all these weapons that you have developed that are not nuclear, but are deadly. Really. We have weapons. We can wipe out your planet with 2 shots of one of our ships. Can destroy the Earth down to cinders. Not even pieces, cinders. Okay? We can destroy your planet with 1,000,000 terawatts of heavy energy beams and aim it right at your core, and that would blow up your planet like down to nothing. The Mushka can do that, but it takes them longer because they don't have the firepower that we have. But they do have weapons that can destroy your planet down to pieces. Chunks here, chunks there, yeah. Like I said, we fought them 3 wars. The first one, we were almost annihilated. If it wasn't for the insectoids coming to our rescue, and thus developed a partnership that has lasted for over a millennia between us and them. They're the original partners of our federation. But in those 3 wars, we have lost a lot. 600 million of us at the hands of the Mushka. But we have taken over 2 billion of them. Does that make it better? Hell no. That does not make anything better. But when you interfere in the affairs of somebody else, you better know why. The insectoids said, we have a lot of things in common. We may not look like, we are different species. You look repulsive to us, we may look repulsive to you. But we have to share the cosmos. And we have a lot in common. Even though we don't look the same and we're different species, we have differences. But we have a lot more in common than we do differences. And almost 2 millennia later, we have a federation that's been around for almost a millennia that incorporates not only humanoids and insectoids, but arboreals, reptilians, aquatics, and non-corporeal beings that can outlive any of us. We as humanoids on my planet can live up to 300 of your years. Some live up to 400, just like you live up to 100 on your planet. Insectoids can live up to 1,000. But the incorporeal beings that we know, there's one that's been around for 10 million years. By our standards and your standards, immortal. But no, he's not. He's not a god, even though he can do a lot of things that we can't. But he still has the frailties of a living, sentient being. He's not perfect. Still has emotions. And yes, insectoids have emotions. All the other people have emotions. We haven't found a Vulcan yet. Okay? So Spock, he's still a science fiction guy. But there is no gods. They may look like gods. And to some planets, they are gods because they are the ones that are bringing them up in development, little by little. And they're very picky about who gets to see that planet because they don't want interference of any other outside societies. And I can understand that. Heck, on planet Earth, you guys have been thrown here, and a lot of other species have came to see you over the times. That's why you are as messed up as you are. But war, when you interfere in somebody else's affair, you better know what the hell you're doing, or you're going to end up probably losing your own life over that. And trust me, the Mushka, whether you're Japanese, Russian, Chinese, American, British, they don't care. You're Terrans, and they hate you with a passion. I don't know why, but they do. Just think of them as Nazis on steroids. This is your favorite alien saying, please get your cobwebs out of your ears and your watermelons out of your brains and save your civilization if you can. I can't do it for you. You have to do it yourself. Good day.